program live. We're live from Point Blank in London in our Studio 5, and I'm with Ski. And today we're going to look at some classic analog devices going back into the 80s.
Yes.
Through the Roland Cloud.
Yes, looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, so Roland Cloud has been around for a while, Ski, hasn't it? I mean, the concept of those simulation as plugins.
Yeah.
And it was done after Roland started to release the boutique devices, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of super exciting, really, that that there's been a lot of sort of clones, I suppose, VSTs and plugins, like versions of Roland products, but for them to actually bring out their own version themselves was a big deal.
Which was a big deal.
Okay, right.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think we've been using Logic and Ableton, where they always come with like 909 samples and everything, and we've made records for years with those.
And finally having them back as they are.
Yeah.
And, the features, plus new features that we're going to start looking at as well, I suppose, the added features that take them even further, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we decided to go today with the 606 and SH101 and the 106. So as you can see, guys, we've got a real 106 here. I normally have a 106. The 106, I picked that one because it was the first drum machine I came across with. Like back in '84, I was in a band and our keyboard player turned up with a 106 and actually gave it to me.
Yeah.
And that's the first drum machine I've ever played with. So I thought that would be great, and also I believe that's the latest one that has been added to the cloud and released as a little boutique as well.
I wonder how far they're going to go, because my first drum machine was a TR-505, which is
brilliant,
very digital.
Yeah, very sample based. Yeah. But, well, I think it goes back also to the fact that those devices, classic from the TR-606, very much looks like, if we see it on our screen, like the 303. And they were created to work together, weren't they? And mostly they were to help guitar player, to have kind of a fake bass and fake drummer to play along. And they were not really famous. I think they were a bit of a flop, I think it's fair to say, when they came out.
Yeah, it wasn't a big deal, was it?
And they came out of production fairly quickly. But then some electronic producers started to pick them up for cheap in second-hand shops, and
then Acid House happened,
and then the rest is absolutely. So shall we have a quick listen to the 606, I suppose, to remind ourselves how it sounds?
Please.
So I've made kind of a small electro beat to bring us back to the 80s.
I'm in the 80s already.
We are in there.
Suddenly, yeah. It's Back to the Future.
So here's the 606. I've made some little tweaks to the sound. So shall we go through some of the features of this? What makes the 606 a classic drum machine? If we were to go back, so basically 606 is a 16-step sequencer. Back in the days, you only saw it as this format, but the cloud obviously brings you this edit page, which makes it a lot more usable and being able to edit every single step at the same time and have a better picture. So that's really great. So I suppose let's take a blank canvas just to show a little bit some of how to program step sequencing, I suppose. All the TR were made on with the same kind of pattern, and I'm actually going to use a completely reset blank as well. So that is your classic 606 with no changes. The different steps, you could use different scales back in the days. You had 4 scales on all TR. What they were is, I saw on the internet some confusion about what they were. What they are actually is define the value of each step. In the normal and most used scale number 1 was your 16th step, making it a 16th, therefore a whole bar. Every note being a semiquaver, being a 16 notes. So if we put 1 on the 4, you have your 4 beats here, 1, 5, 9, and 13. You can put an accent onto it. The accent is how loud you're putting that beat, so you push it up here. And therefore you have off beats are here. So you see the difference with what's accented, what's not.
And that's the real luxury, isn't it, of the software version, is that you can actually see the grid.
You can see the grid. You couldn't see on the hardware. All you would see was those lights here. Yeah. And you can play the instrument here, like on the reel. Also program in real time by playing on the tab button that used to be here at the end. So you could step sequence or not. So those, it's really simple, is what it is basically. And then you've got your, you know, hi-hat, closed hi-hat, for example. That's your half beat. And anything basically from 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13 and 14 are your downbeat and your half beat. And anything when you start putting stuff on 2, 6 or 4 or whatever, we're gonna put it on weak here. This is how you start adding some syncopation basically. That's the concept of 6-step sequencing. Straight away now what you have on the 2 and the 4 are giving you that kind of syncopation. Some addition that these drum machines have in the cloud is the shuffle. Those drum machines didn't have a swing back in the days. So that's a real luxury now to have shuffle. On top of it, you can have a different shuffle for every single instrument. Again, you didn't have that, so that's brilliant. Another thing, quickly to go over the different features of the new version, if you like, of those, is the substep and flam. The flam, I remember there was one on the TR-707, and it's effectively for a drummer is when you get on your snare or your tom with 2 sticks, slightly blah, blah, you know. But here they've taken it further, so you've got 9 type of flam, and I think they're going by 4 milliseconds increase. So giving you some different things that you can suddenly create.
Super flammable.
Super flammable. Let's try it. You know, that's one, and then make it much more pronounced.
Oh.
Yeah, so you're getting those kind of flavor. But one thing I'm a big fan of is those substeps now. The substep is effectively, you take one step here, and let's change it into a substep.
Nice.
So, substep 1 is a doublet, a triplet, and then the next one is a quadruplet. So, you know, for that kind of hip-hop, slower beat, I mean, it's very, very usable. And those are the main features that kind of differs from the original drum machine. The biggest also features that changes is that back in the days, you would have it like that. All you had was a volume for each of the instruments. The new version, they've added tuning, decay, snappy, a little bit like what you had on the 808. So suddenly that makes it really usable. And if we start, let's say, play with the gain, for example.
Wicked.
Now start with play with the tune.
Oh yeah.
Play with the decay.
Oh my god. There you go, it's a tune in itself.
And then you're getting those bassline, 808 type of bassline, etc., etc. So the range of sound suddenly becomes absolutely amazing. I love the snare as well, what you can do with the snare.
It's amazing, isn't it? Like how creative you can be.
You start to bring so much creativity with it.
Just from one box, basically.
From one box, you know. And I think that's what I love about finding, again, being able to play with those boxes, is that if you play with samples, you don't have the same instantaneous being able to play with in terms of variation and creativity with sounds. You know, you need to start using plugins, starting going through synthesis depending on the sampler you're using or whatever. Here, it's instant.
Yeah. And of course, all that can be automated as well, can't it?
All that can be automated.
Yeah.
And we'll start playing with it a little bit. So those are the kind of main features.
Just out of interest, so is that being processed at all?
No.
With any? So that's just literally.
At the moment, I'm literally going one output, a stereo output.
Okay, all right.
So that gives you so much flexibility. It sounds already super fat. Now, if we were to go back to the kind of beat that we kind of worked on for today for the FFL, so I'm loading it back here through the bank. That's our beat. So one of the great things as well that you can do with this new drum machine in Logic or Ableton, and I think you're working on a you want to do an Ableton drum rack, you were saying to me when we discussed.
So that's really great. I mean, it's great to kind of have everything self-contained within the plugin, but I think when you start getting everything out on multiple outs, individual outs, you can start having fun with kind of some of your other plugins.
You start exactly processing.
Yeah.
So shall we use that one in multi-output modes?
Yes. Yeah.
So in Logic, it's really simple. I've selected. You've got to make sure that you choose the multi-output version of the device.
Yep.
So you've got stereo or multi-output. So I've got the multi-output already. You just click on the plus sign. I'm getting my outputs. Then literally go on the drum machine, go output sub.
Yep.
And I think it's pretty much done. I think what you may have to go to options sub output, and here they are. They're all already selected. So now, if I'm going to play that beat again, let's have a look at our mixer. Here they are. Everything comes here now. So I'm going to use them stereo pan because I love my stereo pan rather than the balance. Here they are. So we've got the hi-hat here now. I'm going to pan it a little bit. That's the hat. That's the open hat. So I'm going to have them both together pan kind of the same because they're effectively both hi-hats. So it's interesting to see that the closed hat and open hat have different outputs. So you could even process them differently if you wanted to. That's our high tom, I'm going to have it here. Or low tom, I'm going to have it on the other side. And kick and snare, we're going to leave in the middle. Now quickly what we could do on the snare, let's have a little DBX 160. I think they work great on the snare.
Be rude not to.
It would, why not? Oh yes. Give that snaps to it, it's really quite nice. A little bit more of it. Yeah. Yeah, a little bit more of that. And then I think we've got a Lexicon reverb here ready to go. So it would be rude not to use that. Shall we have that a little bit?
Big shout out to Universal Audio.
Oh yes. Back in the 80s. And finally, I'm going to group them all on a bus. I've got a bus ready to go for those. Let's have them all on bus 1.
While you're doing that, I'm just going to check the chat. So yeah, if anyone has got any questions, please put them in the chat.
So now we've got them all going through this bus now, drum bus, and what I've put on it is a decapitator, Soundtoys decapitator, going through a bit of a transistor here with just tiny bit of drive and UA dish tuner to simulate a tape machine. And you see straight away, very quickly, using the multi-output, bussing them, and very minimal processing, and straight away the beat is already getting a little bit of love and fatness and all the things that we love.
Yeah, it's great.
So here we are for the drum machine. I think we're going to keep like that. I mean, everybody who wants to play with I think it's Black Friday today, and I'm sure if you look at Roland offers, I believe some offers are going on.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Black Friday. Isn't the 106 available for a bit of playing, I think?
I think it might be, yes. Yeah, definitely.
So you may want to check it out.
Yeah.
Which leads us very nicely.
Yeah. We've got a 106.
We have a 106.
Yeah. This is a point blank 106. It's been here for quite a while, isn't it? I believe.
Yes, we have a couple.
Right, okay.
We have a couple.
Yeah.
So students can have their hands on.
Yeah.
And I think, Ski, you're going to play some keys.
Yeah, I thought, it might be nice. You got a dope beat there, so kind of in an 80s vein. So I thought it might be just interesting just to play a few parts in. Yeah, so what's also maybe interesting is to kind of listen to this and then see how it would compare to the 106 Roland Cloud version.
So I believe we have a sound which is quite similar, have we?
So yeah, I don't know if you just want to quick play the beat maybe.
Of course.
I had this part. So this is the sound, quite simple sound, kind of using the envelope filter here, so a bit of resonance. So that's coming from the Juno 106. Should we listen to what
Shall
it's a kind of equivalent sound? You know what? Let's get the face mask on, just because we're.
Let's when we're getting close.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, that's quite loud. It's a bit louder, obviously, and a bit more kind of resonance.
How's that? Is it a bit better?
Yeah. Should we try actually recording that in?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, a quick quantize.
Bit of quantize.
16.
Yeah. I missed a note there, so maybe just take the first bar, maybe. Or
Do you want to take the first bar and repeat it?
yeah.
It's a sequence.
It's a sequence, yeah.
Here we are. Look, the first bar.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
And maybe
Shall we compare the both sounds just to out of curiosity?
so maybe this is. Yeah, I mean it's not bad. In fact, it's better than not bad. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Pretty good,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. Maybe nice to try a bit of reverb on it. I think you can either add reverb from within the actual plugin.
Let me add it from here. Let's see what happens here. You happy with that?
Yeah, that sounds good. Cool.
Right, so let's play that. Cool.
Cool. Maybe bring it down a little bit, just to
Let's
sit
bring it down a
underneath.
bit.
Yeah.
Make it sit down in the mix a bit better.
Cool. So should we try an SH101?
Absolutely.
Yeah. SH101, my first ever synth.
Was it your first, your first Roland synth?
First Roland synth, yeah.
Brilliant.
So yeah, I kind of learnt synthesis on a 101 really, and it was very much that kind of thing of just having it in front of me, just trying to figure out what was doing what, playing around, and I've still got it. I have to have it serviced kind of every couple of years because it gets a bit noisy and some of the fade is a bit crackly, but yeah. I've even got the hand bit as well. So
brilliant! So you can put it with a guitar strap.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Although I did that once at a gig and I got the lead caught around my leg and it was all very embarrassing. But it's amazing being able to have the Roland Cloud version.
How does it rate? How do you rate it against the real thing that you have?
I've pretty much got exactly the same sound on it, I mean, it's got that bottom end, it's got the fatness to it, it's amazing.
I think it's worth mentioning that those the plugin as the boutique are using analog circuit behavior, I believe.
Yes.
That's the way they've done the modeling, isn't it, Roland?
ACB, yeah.
Which means it's a bit heavy on the CPU of your computer, a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's a good sign usually. That means something is happening. There's quality to it, and I think you hear it through all those sounds, isn't it? From the 101 to the 106. I'm the same. I've got the 106 as well, and I'm just blown away by how usable they are, how fat and how lovely they are. Especially the chorus. I think they really got the chorus right on the 106 in the plug-in version.
But basically, the 106 is the 6-voice version of the SH101, isn't it?
Yes.
So with the added features of the chorus. So yeah, it's they're very closely related.
Yeah.
So I've got sound here.
Oh, lovely.
So I could just try playing something underneath that pattern. Let's get the old face mask back on again. Record it in? Oh, did you record it?
Yeah.
Oh, there you
I'll
go.
double up the recording actually.
Okay.
I kept the last one.
Okay.
Quick quantize, but it was pretty bang on to me. Brilliant.
Cool. So there's one more part I was going to try putting in.
Okay, Juno again?
Juno. Yep.
Okay, let's try that one.
Yep.
Do we just want to check, do we have is it the right sound key?
Just make sure that's the... Cool.
Do you want to practice first or record it straight in?
Yeah, just try practicing a little bit. Whatever, yeah, cool, let's go.
It missed the first bit, the first chord.
Should we go again?
Should we go
I was
again?
going to say as well, if we open it up, maybe take some of the portamento off. I think it might be a bit overkill.
Is it a bit overkill on the portamento? Yeah. Okay. Better?
Yep.
Excellent. Let's do that again. I give you 4 bars in.
Cool.
3, 4. Brilliant.
Nice.
Cool. So,
what would be really cool is to actually, we've got the complete Native Instruments complete M32 here,
Yeah.
which has got these. It's in MIDI mode at the moment.
it's in MIDI mode. Let's do some.
So we could assign these knobs.
Absolutely.
To
And I'm thinking as well, one thing we haven't really showed. So at the moment, the drum machine, as you noticed, it all plays from the internal sequencer.
Yeah.
And the way to do it is you select all 4 patterns, press Shift, and they all play one after the other.
Yeah.
And it's really simple to copy a pattern, etc. However, you can also drag them and have them as MIDI. So should we do that?
Yeah.
So I'm dragging each of them. You
That's
see
wicked.
A, B, C. I don't want to import the tempo. I want to keep the one we currently have. And D. And then what I'm going to do is take it off position lock to Do, because otherwise you end up having both playing at the same time,
Yeah.
internal sequencer and the MIDI part. One of the great things about having the MIDI part now is, as we talked about the velocity, the wick and the accent, with velocity here suddenly you're getting 127 velocity. So again, creatively, you can be a lot more,
Yeah.
you have much more velocity to play with, which again adds a lot to your, the ghost notes in your beats and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So let's check in. Shall we? Happy with the?
Yeah. Cool.
So, like we were saying, Ski, there's some few things that we can do as well to make it a bit more interesting, isn't it?
Yes. So, I mean, probably, well, one of the kind of first things you do, or what I would do, is kind of vary the filter cutoff, because it just creates so much dynamics.
Absolutely. Which one do you want?
Well, I think we can do it to all of them, and then we can assign a different knob to each one, each of the instances.
Let's do that.
So maybe start off with this one. So
with this one, so where is the filter on this one?
Filters
Here
is-
is
yeah,
here.
yeah.
So it's really easy to do.
Yeah.
Control click on it, learn MIDI CC.
there you go. Maybe it's gone. The volume has gone down. Maybe, is it? No.
It shouldn't. Yeah, maybe it's taking down the volume down for some reason.
Yeah. Weird. Oh my God! What have we done?
What have you done?
we probably mapped something else inadvertently.
Let's. Should we undo?
Yeah,
No.
you could always load it back in again, I suppose.
Yeah,
Maybe undo it.
I've got to redo. Ended up that, and what I'm gonna do on your. It may be because I was on record. Maybe I'm wondering if
Maybe,
this was
yeah.
the case. But in that case, let's reload the preset.
Yeah, I could even record it back in as well. It wasn't there. There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
So now let's do forget MIDI CC. Let's relearn it again. Yeah.
Okay, try.
Yeah, that's it.
There we go.
Brilliant.
The kind of level's gone up a bit, isn't it now?
Yeah, I'll bring it down.
Wicked.
Happy with that?
Wow, is the tempo going up?
No, yeah, the tempo has gone up.
Oh my God.
My God, what have we done?
Yeah.
Let's check the tempo.
Maybe we're mapping to everything, aren't we here?
You know what? Let me delete the tempo. Let's bring it down here.
Yeah.
All
yeah,
the same.
Exactly. The dangers of MIDI mapping.
We're live.
We're
so
live, yeah, exactly. This is what happens in the
this is
studio,
what-
isn't it?
This is what happened in the real life, but
Yeah.
hopefully we can fix it. And yeah.
I'm almost scared to touch it now. Shall I try?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
works.
Should we go for some other ones?
Let's go for another one.
Let's see which extra parameters we're going to control now.
So let's learn it again here.
Yep, okay. Right, there we go.
Right.
Cool, last one.
Last one. Let's do it on this one. A MIDI learn here.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Cool.
Nice.
And we could even map maybe some of the drums. Shall we?
Yes, yeah.
So let's map the decay of the hi-hat, for example. And then we could, shall we, the snappy, I suppose, or the decay of the. I'm gonna forget this one and relearn that one.
Wicked.
Shall we play together? Yeah.
Seems to have forgotten some of the mapping for some reason.
Oh. You probably need
Okay.
to be on the right track, the MIDI track, to do them all together.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's kind of how easy it is to
Yeah.
map stuff
Yeah.
very quickly.
Wicked.
If you're you need to be on the right MIDI track and obviously record it as an automation.
Yes, yeah. I
you
suppose
know,
it's kind of works a bit different. I'm kind of used to using it, doing the MIDI mapping with Ableton.
with
so-
Ableton, so maybe it works differently, or maybe there's
Yeah,
a trick we've missed here.
Yeah,
And obviously, again, if we were to, you could have the automation here and in Logic, for example, and you could go there, and like we were showing before,
Yep.
The kick drum, for example, you could tune it
yeah.
and do things like that.
Wicked.
So, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Same with
yeah,
the
yeah.
toms, everything is you can start automating everything.
Yeah,
Great fun.
yeah. Great. So it's a lot of fun, isn't it? I mean, it's just having all that kind of, these amazing instruments at your fingertips.
Absolutely.
Is incredible, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, no, and obviously the collection is much a lot more. You've got I've started to play with the System 1, which
Yeah.
was the one of the first modular synth Roland, and they
Mm.
sound amazing. They really do sound
Yeah.
really incredible.
Yeah.
So yes, so I think the Roland Cloud works. You can either buy them outright,
Yep.
or most people would use them as a subscription. It's one of the first thing. I think Slate are doing it as well, but Roland I've gone with that subscription model, so you could rent a month or yearly, or as you wish. Which I think it's a pretty cool way to move forward. I think with instruments, isn't it?
I think so. It's the way it's going. I mean, I think, and there are different levels as well that you can, you can go in at. You can go like top one, which is ultimate, but. And I think there's a loyalty thing as well. So if you kind of subscribe for long enough, you maybe kind of they kind of give you lifetime versions. Though I'm not exactly sure.
I'm not even. Okay, And you're right. There's several tiers because you've got the Xenology as well. If you've got the Ultimate and a lot of the sound banks as well from all the classic scenes. I mean, we haven't talked about. We've got the boutique D50 here actually in the studio, which was one of the first full-on digital, kind of semi-era towards. Probably around the DX7 time, I suppose. That kind of the JV1080 is part of the legendary as well that we have here as well.
Yeah,
I know you have a JV1080.
Yes, love it.
I also have a JV. I mean, everybody had a JV1080.
Yeah.
I think in the early 90s, somewhere in the mid 90s, it was part of the setup.
It's been amazing actually, like doing some recalls on tracks that I did like 15 years ago, where I was using like hardware versions, and it's like, oh, I could just recall it and have those exact sounds up again.
That's brilliant. Yeah. Cool. So are there any questions?
Let's have a look. Let's see what's been going on. So Armo's saying, are you guys going to compare to the boutiques? We were talking about it earlier, weren't we? It's kind of using very sort of similar technology. I mean, I suppose the only difference would be probably sonically they're very, very, very similar.
I think they're very similar because the technology, the modeling used is the same effectively. The difference would be hands-on.
Hands-on, yeah, that's the thing. And it's more kind of geared towards sort of more live performance. Although we've seen how with a controller. You can map everything, so you could kind of have your sets laid out, with an external controller. But there's the aesthetic thing, isn't there? Like just kind of having it there.
Having the hands-on hardware.
Yeah.
So the boutique the boutique are so tiny and it's quite appealing, and the fact that some of them, or maybe all of them, I'm not sure, work on batteries. Some of them have speakers. So effectively, I remember I read something about Steve Albini, who used to have a 606 drum machine, and he used to carry it around as people used to do with a Walkman, and just making beats, because the 606 actually works on batteries as well.
Yeah.
You didn't have the speakers, but the whole boutique has speakers and batteries. So, I can see myself, you play around, you're on the beach or somewhere on the terrace, have a coffee or somewhere, and start making beats and going back into the studio and taking it a bit further, in the kind of studio situation.
Yeah. Big shout out to Danny Lewis. I can see you're here watching this.
Hey, Danny.
Hey, Danny. All right.
Good.
We love you, man. So, do you guys know when Roland Cloud will support the new M1 Max? You're getting one in a couple of weeks. Lucky you.
Wow.
We were just talking about that actually, because I mean they're super powerful, aren't they? And
incredible.
I think
what we're reading.
Yeah. I mean, I think we don't know yet, but we can certainly kind of look into it. But I think with that power and these synths, it's pretty exciting.
It's pretty exciting stuff. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. And he's saying that Danny's saying he's loving the session. Just learnt something about logic panning. He didn't know. Is there anything you don't know?
Really?
So Gustav said, "What is your favourite compressor for hard techno?"
You can't go. It depends on what you compress. What's the sound you compress? I mean, I think there's no favorite compressor. It all depends on the sound you start with, and more importantly, what you're aiming to achieve.
Yeah.
I mean, a DBX 160 gives you that kind of snap.
Yeah.
An 1176 is quite versatile between the slow and fast attack, and SSL. I suppose it was always going to work.
Yeah.
Although I remember back in the days when I started working in studios on SSL, and I wanted to jump on the compressor, and a lot of I was working with a producer at the time, and he was saying, "What are you compressing? What are you trying to achieve? Don't go necessarily compress a 909 kick because you're losing a lot of the bottom end, the fatness of the body of the kick, And it kind of made me think about what I was doing and I was learning very much so, and that really made me think about Okay, so maybe you don't have to necessarily all the time.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
so
yeah, I think it's kind of trying it out and seeing what sounds good, isn't it? You know.
exactly, and
Yeah.
more importantly, what you're after. What is it that you're after?
Mm.
It's really the key for me, rather than, you know, there's no best compressors or best devices. It's what do you want to hear? What is it that you want to? What is your thing? You know.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Well, look, I mean, you know, we obviously once we finish, you know, you can carry on leaving comments, and we'll be diving in and you know, kind of answering those as
Absolutely,
well.
yeah. You know, and you know, so yeah. I mean, I think the 106 at the moment is you can try it out for free.
Yeah.
I think during the Black Friday,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly. We may be wrong, but if it's the case, try it out for yourself and get a feel for it. See if it works for you. You know, you can get them individually or the full package. It's really
Totally. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much.
thanks, kids.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah. Happy Friday, everyone. Yeah. Hope everyone has a great weekend making music and you know, getting in some cheeky bargains for Black Friday.
You know, and get inspired and
Yeah. And we'll be back.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Cheers. Bye bye.
See you later.